Hi, welcome to Chrissy Creates. I'm still doing the ABC April, which is hosted by Tony from Crafty by Tony and Margaret from Sevenplaza. And today we are at letter E. So I decided for letter E, I will be making an envelope pocket page. So this isn't just a normal envelope. It has a flap that opens up and then it flaps down, flaps up, flaps down, flips out, flips out, flaps up, flips out, flips out. Loads of fun. And space for a whole bunch of photographs. And then I created a pocket that can host some tags, journal cards, whatever tickles your fancy. I hope you will enjoy this with me. As with all my other videos, I'm still using a scrapbooking tail, which is a digital kit that's been designed by Kristen Cronenbarrow. She designs for Sweet Shop Designs. So I just took the digital kit and I printed it out on some cardstock, which is what I'm using to create that mini album for my daughter that I'm working on. So as usual, all the measurements are available on my Ko-fi page. You can just pop on over there. The link is in the description box below, and this is available for free. So you can just download it onto your phone, whatever, and then you have all of this right in front of you, and it just makes life easier. I prefer to first cut everything, then I know everything is prepped and I can just continue to have fun. I hope you will enjoy today's project. So the most tricky part of this envelope pocket will be the flap, and I just say tricky because you just have to think a little bit. It's really not that difficult. If I bring in my template again, you can see because it has all these flips and flaps, it does have a little bit, you need to make a little bit of a spine, I don't even know what to call that, but it needs to stand out just a little bit for this flap to be able to close properly. Otherwise it will just stand puffy and look weird. So you can see over there I did put a bit of a gusset in there, I think that's the word, to make sure this flap can close properly, and that's why I say you have to think about it just a little bit. So if you follow my measurements as I gave them to you on my Ko-fi page, it does allow for that. I did all the thinking, so you don't really have to. If we look there, so I just drew myself this template, so in future I don't need to go and think and measure all over and over again. But you cut, I'm going to demonstrate just using a piece of scrap paper, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 square. Then very carefully I'm just aligning this corner and this corner in my paper trimmer. Of course it'll be that much easier using a ruler and a knife, so much easier, but I do have this one out now, so I just cut it over there. Now I have two triangles. The one you will not use unless you want to trim it down for the mat that goes on this on the flap. That's also why it's very handy to prepare a template beforehand. So this will be that bottom flap that flips up. If we look at the prototype, it's this flap. So all you'll do now with this triangle that you have is you will eyeball the middle, and just if you centered it where it's going to be lying, you're just going to trim those two edges up straight. And that is what gave me my template. So if I put my template on this, you can see. Let's flip this up. There you can see what I mean. The template is just in line with this bottom part. So again, you can adapt the measurements to suit your needs. Okay, so I've already cut out, let me just get rid of all the scraps now. I've already cut out my two flaps using my template. I'm going to move that out the way as well. There we go. That is my envelope flap, and this will be the mat that goes on top and the mat that will go on the inside like that. So we'll take the top flap and then I'm just going to score it at a 1/2 inch. It's my 1/2 inch. At a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. There you go. Okay, so scoring done. Going to fold it over. Brandish it down nicely. Here we go. And I am going to round corners again. I'm just trying to decide. I think I'll do the 7mm. Yes. I think the 10mm will be just that little bit too big. Just trimming, rounding those corners also. And I'm going to ink it around with Tattered Rose. I think this will look very, very nice if you do it with old book pages or a map for a travel journal or travel mini album. I think that will look fantastic. But yes, as I said, I want this one to be a little more youthful. I don't think a 19-year-old will have a lot of appreciation for the vintagey stuff that her mom likes. I cut out all my pieces on 160 GSM cardstock because I am layering it up. I love adding layers. It just gives it a bit of dimension. So I don't want to use too thick of a cardstock. Then you do end up having a very chunky. You have to also keep in mind I'm adding photographs as well. Of course, all of these flips and flaps, if you are not really into photos or if you don't want to use this for memory keeping, then just add nice papers and leave it open as journaling spaces. Or if you draw nicely, of course you can add some drawings or doodles. This can almost be a journal on its own. Okay, well, 2 magnets. And I'm going to leave the one right here where I can see it, so I don't forget that one. These are actually magnets that you use for fabric projects, sewing projects. So you'll see this is just a piece of metal and the magnet fits in there flushly, which is very nice, but for paper it doesn't work so well, because if you try to get your paper in there, unless you glue it down like that and you just cut a piece of cardstock or something to fill up that gap, it might work, but your paper will be folded and creased in maybe in places that you don't want it to. So I usually don't use this metallic pieces. I just put them aside and then I make little charms with resin. So if you cut out a circle image or a stamp about this size and you just add some resin over it, it makes for a very nice charm. Okay, this one is going to be rather fixed, so just fetching my double-sided tape, cutting a piece of that. Maybe it would be a good idea to glue it onto the back side of this one. Yes. You'd think I've never done this before. Seriously, I don't even know what's going on. Alright, so let's try this again. So this is the envelope flap. Let me just get all my other bits and pieces in order. Next I'll be scoring and folding my flip out. So if I pull in my template again, my prototype again, I am talking about, let me just get this in the correct order. I'm talking about these flips. Okay. So this will be the top one. It measures 11 3/8 inches by 4 1/4, and then the bottom one is 11 3/8 by 4 1/2. So I'm just pulling in my scoreboard, big one, and I'm taking my top flip outs, scoring them at 3 inches and at 8 3/8. that gives you a 3-inch on each side. So if you just have a small scoreboard, score at 3 inches, turn it around, score at 3 inches again. I'm going to do the exact same for the bottom flips. Good. Set this guy aside. Then I'm going to fold this in, burnish it down nicely, fold this one in, burnish it down nicely. There we go. Have these. And then this one. And of course I forgot to score the other side. That also needed to have a score, a fold. So come back in, big scoreboard. There we go. And then the top one, I'm just scoring at a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. And the bottom one, I'm scoring at a 1/2 inch. And 3/4 inch. Just had to double check myself there. Halfway through. There we go. So these I'm scoring, I'm folding to the back. Because they will be folded over the base of my envelope that I'm busy making. See, that has a bit of a gusset, so it can fold down flat. This one doesn't have a lot of papers to fold over, so that is why we're only making a a 1/2 inch fold over. Now we don't need these bits, so I'm just going to be cutting it down over there and cutting it down over here. I think I will be mitering this edge so it doesn't stick out of the base of the envelope. In this one I will cut all the way up to the fold. This bit that is folding over can also be straight. When I'm mitering this, I don't want to miter the spine piece. The spine piece I want to have straight, so I will just miter the little flap that's going to be to go underneath that envelope base. Like so. Good. Now let's glue these in place. Where did I put my envelope base? There we go. There's the flap. There's the base piece. So this flip outs will go in like so, and these ones will go in like so. I think before I do that I need to ink around this piece. Right, let's glue down this flips and flaps to the base. Just concentrating here to get this straight, because I would really like this straight line to go straight all the way. I'm so sorry if you see flies flying about. I do live on a farm, so unfortunately it's summertime, it's hot over here, and that is just part of life for us. They do irritate us quite a lot, but I honestly don't want to swat flies on video. So I'm just trying to keep my wits together, and then after a while I will pause and just do a round of pest control. There we go. So there is our one flip. Oh boy, this one is a bit too long. I need to trim this one down just a smidge. Sometimes when you made the fold, as the paper creases, it does make a bit of a ridge, and it's not always easy to see exactly where that ridge is when you are cutting. Oh boy, okay, there we go, there's a bit of grunging. So sometimes it's a bit difficult to trim down these flip outs exactly. There we go. Alright, so there we have a piece of spine that is the same as our top flaps piece of spine. Now this is at the bottom, and it's just the exact same as that the top one. Next up, this top one. That's this piece of cardstock. So I'm just pulling in my scoreboard again, scoring at half an inch. Sorry, I'm just double checking my measurements to make sure that I don't tell you the wrong things. This morning I was watching Tony from Crafty by Tony's video where she made a dossier, and she also made a mistake, and I must say, as a newbie, it is so encouraging to see some of the pros making mistakes also. Then you don't feel so incompetent. I'm just going to score at 1/8 of an inch over there. Now usually it's quite difficult to fold 1/8 of an inch, Let's just work on a flat surface. And I'm just using my ruler. I do like that. I think that was a good idea. And then, of course, we need to miter it. Next up will be the bottom flip. So this one I'm just going to score at 1/2 inch. There we go. That up, and then this one goes on here. I want to glue it right on the edge over here. Right on the fold. There we go. So that one will fold in like that, and that one will fold up like that. And then our flap comes over top. I think I'm just going to quickly ink over here a little bit. There you go. And I'm just going to miter these corners. There we go. Like so. And now I must just make sure that I don't mess up this part. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to open everything up and burnish that down nicely. This folds down, this goes up, I'm thinking maybe I should just round these corners also. This one goes down first, that one second, that one third, and this one last. And I'm going to be rounding corners on the top, only on the top. Yes, only on the top. Okay. I'm going to add the magnet to this base page. Just want to make sure that I do have the correct pole. Where did I put my double-sided tape? There we go. I'm going to add double-sided tape in between the two magnets. I also did this on, I think it's on my circular waterfall card that I made. I also did that for a closure. I love using magnets for closures, especially in mini albums that I give to teenagers, because they live in the TikTok age where everything goes quickly. They don't always want to take the time to tie a bow or to close a policy envelope with a string or something like that. I do use it from time to time, but I like using the magnets, especially for the teenagers' albums. It's a clean look, and it just keeps everything closed, especially in a mini album where you have a lot of interactive pieces. Okay, and then this is just going on top there, and I'm going to glue these down, probably cut some more. I'm just thinking about that. And I'm going to speed this up with some music in the background, and then we can decorate. I realized the video is getting way too long, so I just paused it and finished up. I'm just going to do a quick flip through. So the tags, I just added some ribbon to the top and I sewed all around. Here things just went a little haywire, but anyway. And this one I didn't do a lot with the tags because I would like to leave this space for photographs. So you can see a small wallet size photo will fit on here. So that just leaves some options open. Okay, the envelope I just glued on 3 edges, so it does create a pocket for these. Over here I just made a little cluster with some of the flowers from the embellishments in the kit. Yes, you would have seen me do that. And then I added one of these little acetate dimensional butterflies that I made on the 1st of April. I will link my video up here. It just adds a little something. That's the one thing I do love about mini albums. You have more space to add dimensional pieces, whereas in a journal you have to be very, very careful adding dimensional pieces on the inside of the pages. Here I just added a bit of lace. It's just like a lacy ribbon I have. It looks like this. So I just cut off one of the flowers and I put that over there. There's also a die cut and a flower peeping out. Added a bit of lace over here with some ribbon. I ended up adding a 1/4 inch strip on this side and on that side. It is just to reinforce the folds. It felt a bit flimsy to me. Over here I added a brad with a piece of leftover lace, small little tag that I stamped on. I think I did leave that in the video, and I also just curled up these petals to make it a little more dimensional. I'm not sure yet if I will keep these petals. It depends on when I put it in the album what it looks like. I think I might just tear these off because they are sticking out a little far on the edge of the page, so I might just cut it off. Okay, then when we open up, I just made a little cluster here again with some leftover ribbon from the tags. Here I also added a 1/4 inch strip, also just for reinforcements. This is just some tea-dyed paper scrap on the back, and I put this "Remember this always." Then it opens up over here. I didn't do much because the photos will speak for themselves. So just for demonstration, let me just grab some photographs. You can add a photo over here, add a photo over there, one here and there, and this opens up. There's space for another photograph. This photo I did leave open over here, so that little petal can go over there, or the little leaf can go over there. You can add the photo there. I also added another 1/4 inch strip over here. Then we have this flip that opens like that with room for a photograph over there, and then over here it is open. Oh, this is way too big. I'm just going to take a scrap piece of cardstock to demonstrate. So you can slip in a photo like that. I think maybe I should just make a little tag over here that shows there's space for a photograph. Then there's space for another one over there and one over here, and the same at the top. Over here, as I demonstrated, I did leave this open so the photo can slip in there like that. And there's another photo pocket over there. I'll just have to get those dimensions so I can show the user there is space for a photo over there. And then on the inside, again, photo there, photo there, photo over there. And then this goes down, this goes up, this comes down, that goes up, that comes down, and there is our envelope pocket page for E. I hope you had fun with me. I really had a blast creating this page and decorating for a change. I mean, that is the fun part of paper crafting, is the decoration. It's also the part that takes the longest, but I had a whole ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed it with me. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.